This block will be the Executive Director of the Office of Attraction and Support of the Investments Ukraine Invest, Mr. Serhiy Tsivkach. Please welcome him with your applause. He is holding the discussion. We have certain technical issues, but we are now solving them because now David Arahamia, the People's Deputy of Ukraine, Helena Yanshina, and People's Deputy of Ukraine, Irina Novik, our Deputy Minister of Economy of Ukraine, have to join this discussion online. Now we are thoroughly and actively working on the fact so that this online connection takes place. And now, with great pleasure, I invite to our stage and holding the first discussion panel of the extraordinary plenipotentiary ambassador of the Latvian Republic of Ukraine, His Excellency Mr. Yuri Spoikans, and the General Counsel of the Republic of Poland in Vinnytsia, Mr. Damian Cherchinsky. Please, Mr. Cherchinsky. The investment policy and the development of the region. Mr. Serhiy, the floor is yours. You have 30 minutes. 30 minutes. Okay, good afternoon. I really welcome everyone at our event, UkraineInvest Vinnytsia. So, of course, I would like to thank the mayor of the city and also the regional state administration, the head of the regional council for their support, for their partnership, and for the fact that this event is possible, and so that today we work in Vinnytsia. And I would like to emphasize that this is the event, the regional event. We have the representatives of Khmelnytska, Kirovohrad, Zhytomyr, and this is about the fact of how do we promote the investment image of the regions of Ukraine, both in Ukraine and in the world. So this is our main purpose. And today we are going to speak about the investment policy and about the development of the regions. Of course, we do understand that the investment themselves, they are being implemented in the regions, but for them to be able to effective and realized effectively, we need to have sustainable, effective, and foreseeable investment policy. And this is formed in the center. This is formed in the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. This is formed in the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. And today, we've attracted the speakers and all the speakers from these institutions so that we start the talks with them. Now I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Galina Yanchenko. I hope that she is already available online. Galina Yanchenko, while we are logging her in, it's the People's Deputy of Ukraine. Also, she is the head of a special Verkhovna Rada Ukraine committee on the issues of protecting the rights of the investors. There was a large presentation of their activities. There are also represent branches in Dnipro and in Zakarpattia. Helena has already said that they had 3 important cases that they deal with, investment cases that they are now working on, and which is not less important. Helena is the deputy head of the monitoring Council of UkraineInvest, so the monitoring board. And so that's why I'd like to give the floor to Helena so that she tells us a bit about the special committee that she deals with and she's involved in. What are the perspectives, what is the vision, and what can we expect from them in the nearest future? Is Helena already on? Okay, we have Helena. We welcome. We can see the direct login from the Verkhovna Rada Ukraine colleagues. Good morning. Actually, just some technical issues don't allow me to hear you, but hopefully you do hear me well. And I would like to thank, of course, the colleagues from UkraineInvest for the invitation for organization of this event and to send you the hello from and greetings from the Verkhovna Rada. Now, briefly, I would like to tell you about the efforts which are made by the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine, because for us now, for the team of the president, and actually for Volodymyr Zelensky, and actually for the faction of the Servant of the People, it's now very important to work for the people, to work with the people, and to take certain initiatives, but on the other hand, also to receive feedback. Okay, for 2 years that we work with, there were a number of legislative initiatives have been taken that should improve the investment climate, maybe for the business. And now we speak about these initiatives. The following should be named, and also it's the decrease of the tax rate and bank rate, and a separate presidential program for cheap loans for the businesses. cases. Also, we speak the launch of the program about the investment nanny project, and currently today you have the possibility at this event to meet with your future nannies, those investors who are going to perform the functions of the secretariat. I would like to once again remind you that both Ukrainian and foreign investors can use this service who are ready to invest more than 20 million hryvnias into certain sectors of economy and create jobs and ensure uh, respective and competitive salaries, which according to the law, these are 15% higher than the average salary in the region. Also, like this week, the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine has passed the law, long expected law on the economic stimuli of the industrial parks. I know that Vinnytsia has great potential in this field. We have at least 2 industrial parks, and now there is also a possibility already to fill up these industrial parks with residents who in the nearest future will be able to get certain subsidies and certain benefits. And also another decision has been some other draft laws have been passed by the Verkhovna Rada, which are aimed at the anti-radar activity, and there are many initiatives. We, as legislators, we do everything that is in our power to change and to create a favorable legislative framework. But for us, it's very important for us to get the feedback of whether these laws, do they function? Are they really implemented in the right way and in the proper volume? And are they really working at the local level and in the regions? Does something needs to be changed or corrected? And so that both you and Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine had a bridge for the dialogue. A year ago, within the parliament, there has been a temporary special committee on protecting the rights of the investors had been created. I have the honor to be the head of this committee as one of the authors and initiators of this special institution, which is a continuation of the policy of the president on attraction and support and facilitation of the investment activity. If we speak about the parliamentary committee, we have 2 very important factors in our activity. First one is the consideration of appeals from the investors in terms they face some misunderstandings on inadequate attitudes or reaction of the state. And in this case, we speak about the cases when the state really does have ungrounded interference in the business activity, and also the cases when the state enacts, so the inactivity of the state. So these are maybe some long-lasting cases, maybe things and issues that have lasted for more than 10 years. And so we speak about the instruments and tools of parliamentary control. And the second issue is about the protection of rights of the investors. These are legislative changes. The proposals on the Cabinet of Ministers are normative changes, and also those legislative changes we develop both based on some resonance cases that we've already considered, and we try to introduce changes and amend the legislation in such a way so that similar cases do not arise again. And also the legislative changes and amendments, we also initiate them as a result of the talks with the business. These are working visits to the regions and the roundtables and meetings like this one. And so if we speak about about the parliament, as it's some good piece of news that I would like to share with you, is that the deputies who are open for communication, open for the dialogue, and open for the legislative activity. And if we speak about the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine, there you can also find some people like minded and close-minded people who are open for Commission and also the UkraineInvest, the special governmental structure which was created for attraction and accompaniment of the investments. The only requirement is from you, and what we ask from you is actually to give the feedback and really be ready to cooperate with the representatives of the authorities. For this, I would like to thank for your attention and wish you a good event, and wish Vinnytsia to develop in terms of economically, culturally, and in every possible positive way. And I hope that in the nearest future I will have a chance to visit Vinnytsia region in person and not to join the events online. Thank you very much.
Well, we'll be waiting for the visit. Thank you, Ms. Galina. We'll be waiting for the next speakers to join us. It will join us in a few seconds. Now we have very important guest offline here. And first thing, I would like to appeal to the ambassador of the Republic of Latvia, Mr. Poivans. We know that the consulate has been opened here, and we would like to congratulate you, and that is a symbol of our efficient cooperation. That's a very good symbol for us, and we know that there is a big investment amount between Ukraine and Latvia, and there is a certain one between the US. We have been working with your Mr. Annels, with your Latvian Invest company, and I hope that we also invite Ukraine investors to Latvia, Latvian to Ukraine, and we have been fruitfully cooperating within the infrastructure of ports as for logistics. And I've got a question to ask you. Can you tell you about investment projects in agrarian production sphere? What projects, what good cases you would like to tell us as a good examples of economic cooperation? Good afternoon, dear friends. I'm very happy to be here to visit Vinnytsia. I would like to tell you a few words about the task that I would set for our honorary consulate. Of course, economy is very important, but as I mentioned, we have very active relations between our countries. And what I tried to be doing, that's to strengthen our presence in the regions. Ideally, I would say that such a country as Latvia to have honorary consulate in every region. For example, Lithuania, they have 14, and as for Latvia, we have that's the 7 consulates that honorary consulates that we have here, and Latvia is very specific, and each region of Ukraine is very specific. And Ukraine is the second country after Poland that we open our honorary consulates in such a number, and we support the European tendency of Ukraine to join the European Union. And so what I would see as a prospective tasks for our cooperation, that's exchange of experience, that's very important. We have been a member of European Union for 15 years. We do understand each other very well, and I think that our experience could be of use to Vinnytsia region. We have a good example. My very good friend Vladislav Skalski, he has got very close relatives to Riga, and the last time as he was there, so he would go from house to house and how the infrastructure is built, and he told us that that's Latvia that would learn from Vinnytsia. Economics is very important. The amounts of trade have been increased 2 times for the last years, and Ukraine is one of the 20 stable, sustainable partners of Latvia, and that's as you mentioned very exactly. And we have the representative of investment agency, investment and development agency, and we have restored this agency's activity, and Ukraine is right to have it, and we greet Ukraine's initiatives in the land market, and Mr. Majulis have been in Vinnytsia several days ago, and we have been thinking about joint projects. And also we have been very interested in contacts with Ukrainian universities, institutes and schools, and we have been building this cooperation. And Vinnytsia students is number 6 within the international students in Latvia, and Vinnytsia is number 6 in international exchanges of students among Latvian students. And we have here an interpreter Latvian, Ukrainian. We have lots of trends and directions that we could cooperate with Vinnytsia region, as the mayor and the head of Vinnytsia regional administration mentioned that a lot, of course, depends on the legislation, but small projects we can make happen within the consulate. So let me thank for being here and for attention. Thank you very much for your speech. You speak Ukrainian perfectly, and I would wish that everybody here in Ukraine would speak such Ukrainian on such a great level. And now I would like to continue our talks with the representatives of the country that has been friends for many years, Poland. During the 30th Economic Forum, we have been talking about Ukraine joining the European territory and about cooperation with Poland, and about very fruitful dialogue with fruitful, and about Eastern European partnerships that have been developing.
Mr. Damian Czerczynski, the Consul General of the Republic of Poland in Vinnytsia. We work with the Republic of Poland quite effectively. Now I looked at the statistics of the last year, and I can see that in 2020 we have maybe legally, like with the euro, the largest investors are from the Cyprus, but we saw that the investments that come from Cyprus, they moved out of Ukraine by millions. They were moved out of Ukraine. And at the same time, I looked at Poland. Poland in 2020, during the pandemic, has made $125 million of capital investments in Ukraine. This is the indicator that we work with our partners in terms of the development of the production and really industrial sector. So I have a question to you, Mr. Damian. How does Poland support Polish exporters abroad? Because this is really a very important component of the fact that these have these foundations for the development of joint enterprises between the Ukrainian business and the Polish business. Thank you. The floor is yours. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it's true that you've said about the forum and the Carpathians. This is a continuation of this forum that has taken for many years in Krynicy. Maybe people have visited this forum, but it's good that you've mentioned, because one of the elements of building of the brand of Poland, which is important for attraction of foreign investments into Poland, and also for the Polish investors that come to other countries who could get the guarantee, certain stability, certain sustainability and reliability. And as my predecessor has said, that the Polish investments that have come, they're not speculative investments. They come into the country and they stay in the country. That's why the decision for the Polish investments to come, they are very grounded, well thought through, and all the fors and against are first evaluated, and then the decision is made. I'm very happy that when we saw during when we had the executives of the city and the region, we can see that Poland, between the India and China, among the trading partners of the Vinnytsia region and of Ukraine. So that's why we can see a certain amount of capacity and certain strength of our relations. And there was a question about how Poland supports the investors and exporters. There is a whole line of institutions that worries about the fact that investors that come, Polish investors that come to other countries, that they have the state support. First of all, this is the Polish Agency for Foreign Investments. This is a governmental institution that is responsible for detecting foreign markets and analyzing foreign markets and providing a recommendation to the Polish investors. The representative of this agency is also in Kyiv, Karakobyce. It's a Polish Foreign Trading Bureau that works here. And also, additionally, we also have our embassies that are all over the world. They are responsible and they have their own economy departments that are responsible for the attraction of the investments from Poland into this country. And really, in the nearest future, the Vinnytsia region will have an opening of a certain investments without a detail. A certain investment, a Ukrainian enterprise has purchased quite expensive equipment in Poland. It is going to be placed here, but it bought it and purchased it at the cost of the Polish state. And it was a loan that is guaranteed by the Polish State Bank, and this loan made it possible for the Ukrainian investors. So part of the risks of the sales abroad was taken by the Polish government. So that's how we support the exporters who sell abroad, but the loan is not received in their own country, but also in Poland in order to promote Polish export. We understand you when we speak about the brand of Poland. The Vinnytsia region is really closely related to the agricultural sector, and Poland and the Polish products, food produce has its brand that it trusts already in the world, whether it's China or the Arab world, but Polish food products is really perceived very well, and it has the confirmation of its good quality and high quality assurance of the produce. And this is also part of the building of a brand building and brand development of Poland. And it's very pleasing to say that one of the enterprises that functions on the territory of Poland, we speak about Berlinek, it's more than 1,000 people who work in the Berlinek LC. In Zhytomyr Oblast, we have a Zenit company, also a powerful plant. It's in Vinnytsia Vinco Food, it's a meat processing plant, and many other smaller plants and enterprises in other different fields of economy. Poland is present here on the territory of Ukraine, and here we also can see huge Polish enterprises like PKO PP, like Polish State Bank. It's a credit bank, which is a branch of that bank. It's one of the largest banks in this territory of Orlen. It's the largest oil processing plant, which is present not only in Poland but also in Lithuania, Czech Republic, and also now it comes into Ukraine. And also, these are the investments that are guaranteed by the Polish state, and they are really much safer, and they come to Ukraine. The question is, what else can be done? Of course, Ukraine is a powerful market where you can buy and invest, sell and invest, and of course maybe we can add some sustainability and stability of the legislation, also sustainability and stability of the controlling bodies which ensure the activity and functioning of the foreign enterprises. But in this case, it's very important to have a foreseeability and for the ability to forecast and predictability of the activities. And we are very grateful to the initiatives of the Verkhovna Rada that we've heard about the fact that we have a corresponding medium for the investors. It's important that these changes are effectively implemented and put into action. So that's why these are the questions that we get from the investors from Poland. So that's why I think that I'm convinced that we do have the potential, and we have a foundation on which we can build on and develop the further investment presence of Poland in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your speech and for such a perfect Ukrainian. Thank you very much. It says it in Polish. Thank you very much for your cooperation. And I would like to add that We as people's deputies, we have been working together with Ms. Helena, with Mr. Arahami, that we are waiting him to join, that he is the head of the parliamentary fraction of the 7th of the People's Political Party, and he is the head of the committee for investing in order to attract investment more in a more efficient way. And I would like to say a few words about regulatory policy as we talk about investment agencies. We have a system of legal drafts that Mrs. Novika, I don't know whether she will be able to join us online. She is responsible for development of this legal project, legal drafts, and everybody can send applications. Please impose us, come to us. We'll explain how to apply. That will be kind of concierge service as a facilitator for Ukrainian and foreign investment. Coming back to the things we have been discussing, we have been talking about European values, European Union, and the history and joint history. There are historical questions of cooperation between Europe and other countries and Ukraine, and I have been thinking, what is history? History is what is happening today and will be influencing tomorrow. And today we are communicating, we are building our history for our children, for our grandchildren, that our children and grandchildren will be in 20, 30 years, will meet and cite our dialects. So, if some years or centuries ago there were wars and social issues, and now it's economies that makes an important integral part of the history, and there are several components that I would like to pay attention. That's green transformation, and digitalization. Ukraine shall be ready for implementing when we want to integrate to European Union as to in the sphere of green integration. We would think that before that was a European value. Now our business, for our business, Ukraine is quite a concern. We don't know whether we have enough money, funds for such integration. Let us think together how we should all together within this triangle or square of neighbors, how we could guarantee it. Then another term is transferring from Asia more to closer to European Union, because during the pandemics we haven't seen the negative results as for it. Let us work on partnership programs, and we have already changes that people's deputies are voting for, that the state will finance the state communications to that would unblock, that will foster foundation of industrialized parts of Ukraine in order to have the production of facilities closer to the European Union, to have it in our countries. And you do remember the memorandum of understanding between the European Union and Ukraine as for extractable resources. For 9 years, in 9 years, there will be shortages in cobalt resources for Europe, like 5 times, and 19 times for lithium. And even Latvian deposits, they have deposits. We can have joint ventures to produce lithium batteries. It's Latvian, Poland, Ukrainian joint ventures. And one more joint message: let's improve, build Ukrainian image. We have lots of positive cases, best cases, and our city mayor, he several times mentioned potential, but well, what he really referred to, that's concrete, several special foreign companies that are present here, that have been been working here in Vinnytsia and Vinnytsia region, and that have been successful, that are present here, that are building here in Vinnytsia region, and that's what we need to show, to demonstrate, in order to build the positive image of Ukraine. Because I know that in Europe, what they know through the mass media, it's war in the east, it's bad economy. But what is more important is how we cooperate, what best cases we have. And let us upload a presentation, a short slide, so that it would add to the presidential initiative on support of the investment projects, if we have such a possibility. Oh, thank you. Oh, I beg your pardon, but please stay, Mr. Yunus, 2 more minutes, stay and we'll sum it up. So, if we have some regulatory part which allows us to attract investment, but together within Ukraine Investment Promotion Office, we have started to work on the program. Now I will switch on and demonstrate you that we named it Make in UA. It's not made in UA, but make. We invite for you to get the opportunity and produce in UA. That's a very important thing that I would like to invite you to make together. We have industrialization park, regulatory policy. We need to analyze that. Now with our American partners, Israel partners, German partners, we analyze the numbers. USA, for example, the import from Eurasian region for 350 billion US dollars. According to the US Center for Analytics, they have potential for 190. And we thought that if we, to our metal industry, if we invite US producers, so in 5-10 years we'll be able to produce in our country up to 190 billion US dollars. It's only one country, and if we mention our closest neighbors, so our regulatory policy has been being developed. We have very good mood and motivation and will from Vinnytsia region, and let's have a competition between regions for investors. Please, 10 seconds for comments, and then we will proceed with the coffee break. Let me wish the best success to Vinnytsia region, as the city mayor already mentioned that Vinnytsia already has been taking leading position in all the ratings, and I hope that the Latvian Republic will be able to use this leading position of Vinnytsia for the future cooperation. One of those initiatives that have been forming some good prospects of Ukrainian inclusion, that is the ideas of 3 cities, that is Latvia, Balkan countries, but also it shall include Ukraine, that is on the transport connections and infrastructure. The Ukraine Israel shall be responsible for transport. It's this Lubel triangle, but also political initiative, but also transport and infrastructural ideas and connections. As I'm talking about Vinnytsia region, and we know that here the self-government authority sits, that here they always have been defending and supporting investors. And several words just to add to what have been said by my Polish colleagues. The next summit of three Cs, it will take place in Riga, and now we have been working how to join the initiative. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a session for investment policy and development of regions. Sorry, it was international investment policy and development of regions. Thank you. So let me invite you for the coffee break. Please thank